All right. Well, hello, everybody. This is Andrew Foxwell, and I have my buddy Anthony here from Nextdoor. It's going to walk us through actually the Nextdoor ad campaign platform. And I think we're really excited about it. There's a lot of opportunity happening on Nextdoor right now, too, in terms of qualified people, qualified users. And so before we even get into the creation of it, Anthony, you want to talk about just super quickly, like what kind of numbers we have on Nextdoor and how qualified those people would be for direct response buyers?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here. Very excited to introduce you to the Nextdoor Ad Center. In terms of just Nextdoor members, kind of what we're all about here. For those of you who aren't aware, Nextdoor is the platform to tap into neighborhoods that matter to you. From a member standpoint, we're in 1 in 4 households across the United States. We're in 11 global markets at this time. This product is really focused in on US targeting, but we are as a company in 11 global markets, but a great platform to reach that household decision maker in your target markets.
Fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of people there. I think the thing that's nice is that it is city specific, or you can do city specific, but you can also do national campaigns and target them that way too. So there's incremental in a lot of different ways. But let's go ahead and just talk about it. So it's built similar to a lot of other ad platforms we see, certainly. So a lot of the people that we're talking to are, conversion advertisers or direct response advertisers. So you have 3 different options on a campaign. Why don't we go ahead and just get started there and see what this campaign flow looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our first iteration of a self-serve campaign management platform. So historically at Nextdoor, you either had to buy through managed services or we had a local business suite of products. So this is really exciting time for us, and we're super excited to introduce you to this. So the very first thing that you see here is your campaign creation screen, really where you're diving in first and foremost to your overall objective.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you mentioned, Andrew, this is going to look a lot very similar to other platforms that you're seeing in the market.
Mm-hmm.
That's intentional. We want to make this an easy to use platform. So no, it doesn't make sense to completely reinvent the wheel here. But right where you're seeing right here, like I said, is where you're choosing your initial objective. So if you're looking to primarily drive, brand awareness, or in your case with your partners, primarily conversion focused. So if you are conversion focused, you can click on this and generate your conversion pixel directly from the UI.
And I think it's important to mention too that the pixel as it stands now is also going through a lot of the changes, right? That other things are going through with iOS 14 updates. And so that'll change probably eventually over time of what we can report on, but they will still be able to obviously track with the conversion pixel, and the pixels there for building pools and stuff like that too. So that's there. So we have it now, and that's a pretty easy thing to install.
Absolutely. And right from the UI itself, you'll be able to generate your unique pixel, and you'll also have implementation instructions. Now, what you mentioned around this being kind of new for us here at Nextdoor, the overall platform has been live since June of last year. And we just launched this conversion pixel right after the holidays, or excuse me, right before the holidays, back in December. This is our kind of V1 of this pixel. So throughout this year, in addition to numerous just updates with the product in general, this conversion pixel will also be getting additional features layered on as well as we continue throughout the year.
Love it. Love it. So you go ahead and choose conversion, you get the pixel installed, and then what happens after that?
Yeah. So from a pure functionality standpoint, this objection choosing really just populates the bid more commonly associated with that campaign objective.
Okay.
So if you're seeing, as I click on here, what you're noticing at the very bottom is the bid type that it's going to pre-populate. So if I were to click on awareness, it would pre-populate a CPM bid in the ad group section, or consideration or conversion will pre-populate a cost per click bid. Now, those are the 2 bid types available today. We'll most likely be expanding that as we get throughout the year, but as of right now, those are the 2 bid types that you could select at the ad group stage.
Okay.
So if I were to drill down here, we kind of already we don't have to go through the whole pixel generation. Just know that that is right where you see your pixel right here. You'll be able to create a unique one. Today, this pixel is single event tracking and just click through attribution. Like I said, it will be going through numerous changes as we go through 2021. So we'll be really expanding upon that from a functionality standpoint as well.
Okay, cool.
So let me give this campaign a name here. And then next, we'll drop us into our ad group stage. So this is really where you're going to be focused in on your targeting. You didn't few moments ago, that you can target the United States, or you can get as granular at the state, city, DMA, or postal code level.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's super helpful in terms of different cities within a certain geo or whatever. Have you seen success on doing targeted versus more national campaigns, or have the results in the conversion side been similar?
I think when it comes to geo-targeting, I wouldn't say there's a direct comparison between more broad or more targeted. Really, that's on the advertiser. Where that comes into play more is the layering on of different audience segments. So if you are more targeting, say, just a couple cities, my recommendation is to go more broad from an audience perspective, knowing that at Nextdoor, you really have that ability to reach the household decision maker. That's what makes us a little bit different from other platforms in terms of our audience, is that we tend to have that more mature audience, and really, like I said before, that household decision maker.
We have some tests running now. One is the more specific, and then one's national. So we're kind of testing it as well, to see which one works. We have a food delivery service basically, that's city specific. So that one's doing kind of running there and doing pretty good. So yeah, so you basically go and put in the ad group, put in a name on this, you choose a location, and then you can go age, gender, and then obviously a lot more options. Let's talk about some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So the audience segments, you'll see a mix of first and third party data layered in here. So starting from the audience right at the top there, gender, age, household income, you'll see different layers. Here at Nextdoor, just from a pure overall national average standpoint, about 90,000 is our median household income. We tend to skew higher in household income because we tend to skew higher in homeownership. So our national average from homeownership is 74%.
And this is this first party or third party data on the household income?
Yeah, household income is third party.
Okay, cool.
And then the next one, which is very unique to Nextdoor, is homeownership. So one thing to keep in mind, this is another key differentiator from Nextdoor in the market, is that we have address verified members. So everybody that comes onto the platform is verified to live where they say they live. So we're always targeting based on the individual's home location, not where their device is. And because we can back into where they live, we can also layer on census data to get an understanding of neighborhood homeownership. So what you're seeing in this section, and why you're seeing it broken out into 4 separate ranges, a good way to describe this is to put it into an example. So if you were targeting, call it the state of California, and you wanted to target majority homeowners. This section right here is basically saying, in the state of California, what neighborhoods do you want to target based on the density of homeowners? So if I want to target the neighborhoods with the highest homeowners, I'm most likely going to, out of the gate, hit 51% to 75%, as well as 76 to 100%. And what this will mean is we're going to target neighborhoods within the state of California that has a density of homeowners within those ranges.
Got it. So just not a lot of renters, as people that live there and they're homeowners.
Exactly. Now, I wouldn't necessarily, out of the gate, I most likely would include this 26 to 50% as well, because I wouldn't want to exclude neighborhoods where 1 in 2 members own their home. So this is a good place. You could always start with this. You could kind of remove it as you're seeing different leads coming into your funnel. The one I would include, if you're looking to exclude the communities that are primarily encompassed of renters, is this 0 to 25%.
Okay, cool. So it's a way to differentiate. That's huge. I mean, it's a qualifier. It's a quality assurance thing almost, to some degree, of making sure that those are actually people that are gonna spend some dough potentially. I think that's an interesting differentiator.
Absolutely. The other things that you can layer on in addition to audience targeting, you'll have device, and you'll also have a wide range of interest categories that you can select from. So these will range from things like barbecue and grilling to, in this case, pet owners. So the example I'm kind of walking through right now is a pet brand. This is really where you could focus in on members that have raised their hand and said, "Hi, I own a pet." Now, that's different. And the reason why I like to specify that is because not all members are raising their hand and telling us that they have a dog or they have a pet. A lot of these selections are made during the onboarding process of during, once they initially sign up on Nextdoor.
Yep.
So as a best practice, I always recommend leveraging multiple ad groups for every one campaign. One that's focused more broadly. So this example, if you were looking to target pet owners, maybe you have a small budget in there for just pure geo-targeting without layering in these interest segments, knowing that some of those members just didn't go into the Nextdoor platform and identify themselves as pet owners.
Yeah.
And have that next ad group that's really focused in on those that have specifically raised their hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to what we would do in other best practices with some, another platform. Like, we go through and do some broad, some more specific targeting. But go ahead and hit that drop down again, if you would, Anthony. Just, so these are things that this is a mix of first and third party data. Is that correct?
Correct. So it is a mix of first and third party. One other thing that is, we just layered this on just a few weeks ago, is these high affinity segments. Mm-hmm. So these segments are based off click model testing that we did. So in these industry buckets, these are encompassing of members that have been historically more likely to click on ads in those specific industries. So a great way for your performance advertisers to really get focused in on our member base in those industries that have been, communicating a lot with ads in that specific industry.
Sure. Okay, cool. Well, that's also very good and great data to have. I mean,
right. We're doing a little work for you there.
Yeah. Some good numbers as well. So it's a nice way to, layer in some interests and some other demographics in there, and give it a shot for sure.
Absolutely.
So if you can click back on some of the high affinity stuff too, and just scroll through some of that. I think it's really interesting. Yeah, finance, food, retail. There's a lot of people in direct response that have, retail. So that's an interesting one. That's cool. It's good to see. Good to know. Good for people to play around with.
Absolutely. And I think those that are looking maybe in some home services space, we have a lot of advertisers that are in that industry. Mm-hmm. I would always recommend, it doesn't have to be the exact one. If it's not home security, if it's just something to do with your home, leverage all three of these. These is going to give you the highest probability to reach that already have expressed interest with other advertisers in these, in these markets. So cool. Like I said, we did a little bit of the legwork for you guys and selected those members that have, based on click model testing, that have been engaging with similar ads.
Cool. All right. Well, let's keep on rocking here of other things that we could target. So once we get to the interest, then it comes to delivery and the budget. And let's talk about that a little bit.
So what I mentioned at the very beginning is that we have two bid types that you can select from. The first being a cost per impression model and the second being a cost per click. Regardless of the objective that you select at the very beginning, you can always change this. And this is definitely something I recommend testing with as someone that's new to the platform. Maybe you want to start, if you're very conversion focused, maybe you want to start with the CPC bid. However, if you're leveraging some of these high affinity segments, it might be worth testing a cost per impression model as well, as we've really done that click model testing. So to reach, you get your most exposure. This is just a nice way to leverage both and test both to see what really is driving the most conversions for you. In addition to bid, you'll have your budget. Today, you can put a daily budget in there where we don't have the option to select a lifetime. So what you'll do is put, say, $200 a day, and then you'll select your flight dates at the bottom.
Okay, so that would be 200, but that's per the ad group. So it's like an ad set, basically. Yeah, and you can set different budgets per ad group.
Correct. So every campaign will create two ad groups, one for the newsfeed placement and the second for that for sale and free placement.
Okay.
Of your overall daily budget, you can decide what percent you want allocated to each placement. So I always say, maybe you want to start with the bulk of your ads in the newsfeed. That newsfeed is the very first thing that you see when you log on to the platform. And the for sale and free section is our online marketplace. Now you can select any distribution or allocation of budget across these two. Just know leverage this, and you can and we'll already do that for you. So say you want maybe all in the for sale and free. For sale and free is a high conversion focused placement. like I said, it is a marketplace. So based on your industry, it could be a really great placement where you'll potentially also see a little bit of cheaper cost from a bid perspective and overall delivery and performance. So
yeah, I mean, can we talk a little bit about that for sale and free section? So that's a segment on Nextdoor. I mean, I've clicked on it on my own Nextdoor that basically stuff is for sale and free. It's like kind of like it's obviously just a marketplace. And I mean, I think that ads would do pretty well there. So it's probably good to obviously test both. But starting in the newsfeed makes sense, but the for sale and free, people might be more inclined since it's already looking to buy, I mean, preliminary, we're doing a split on ours right now. So I don't have any data, but I know in the discussions you and I've had that the for sale and free and other tests that you guys have done too with advertisers, it's done pretty well.
Yeah, it's definitely one recommendation that I have and that advertisers have seen success doing is leverage the newsfeed for your kind of more of an awareness focus, creative and copy, where your for sale and free could potentially be just very, very conversion focused. So it's a nice way to have one kind of campaign with two different objectives, all within kind of the same group. Now, in that for sale and free section, like you mentioned, it is an online marketplace. It's a place where members are going with buying intent. You'll see a wide range of products from home appliances to even cars for sale. There's just a wide range of different products. But what's great about it and why it has such high engagement, it is compared to Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. It's all localized. So everything that you're seeing in that for sale and free section, those items are all within a short radius of your actual physical home address. So a great way to kind of interact with your neighbors, get some new goods, all within your backyard. So definitely is one of our most engaged places on the platform.
Cool. And I neglected to mention earlier on the targeting thing, just to jump back on that. Currently there's no custom audiences or exclusions, but that's something that's on the roadmap and is coming. So that's something that I know we'll probably get questions about. So I wanted to just mention that. That's something that's on the way.
Absolutely. So yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning, we've been live since June. Our 2021 roadmap is quite something to see here. So we have a lot on our plate in this calendar year. We're super excited about everything we have coming. But exactly like you said, exclusion lists, leveraging your own first party data is something that you will soon have the ability to do. If we were to have this conversation in about 6 months from now, that most likely will be in the product.
Cool. So jumping back to this, and then the next thing you do is when I first came in here, it talked about the frequency cap, and the default was 20 impressions a week, which felt like a lot. But then, because we look at things in a daily sometimes, and it's like 2 times a day might be a lot, or I don't know. So tell me why you guys set the default to 20 and what you recommend there.
Yeah, so it is a dropdown. You can customize this. Defaults to 20 based on Facebook's 3 times per day.
Right.
So
exactly.
We're just aligning very similar to what our customers are most used to across other platforms. So yeah, we're just quoting it in a weekly basis versus dailies. So it looks high, but really it aligns with Facebook's as well.
Cool. And then you can set the schedule and then get into the ad creation. Let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah. So the schedule, you can select obviously your start and end date, but this is also where you could do some day parting. So say you only want your ads to run on certain days of the weeks or certain times within those days. This is where you could you can customize that. So say you only want your ads to run, from 8 to 7 p.m. Something that you could layer on. So it's only delivering during the day and not kind of at night based on whatever market or industry that you're in.
Cool. Yeah, it's not something that day party isn't something that people do a lot. They might eliminate, middle of the night or something here and there, but we're not doing any of that now. Just trying to get some raw numbers on it, but it's nice to know that it's there for sure.
Yeah, definitely something you can leave out entirely or leverage if you already have some data from previous campaigns on other platforms where you've seen the most success. So definitely something you could leverage.
let's go ahead and try to start creating an ad and to see what that looks like.
So the very first thing that you'll notice is that today we only have one format.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, in about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, I hate to give a hard deadline when it comes to engineers' timelines, but we will be layering on video formats as well as carousel ads are the next two that are scheduled to go live.
Nice.
So if I kind of go in here and I give my creative a name here, I'll select this display image. You will see that we provide you with some creative best practices directly in the UI.
Mm-hmm.
As I scroll down here, I'll be able to add my logo, add my creative. Let me kind of swap this one here for you so we can kind of get a nice full build in here.
And so this is like the icon associated with the name, basically.
Exactly. So this is the logo image, and I'll show you exactly where this is going to be seen on the creative itself.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm kind of scrolling down here, just so you know, all creatives are saved in Creative Assets Library. So any item that's used, you can always go back and leverage again. This import from Facebook feature today is off native posts. So if you're if you're posting from your business page on Facebook, you could leverage and import some of those assets directly.
Yeah.
So this will be as simple as copying the ad link and importing that in. But today it's just for native posts.
We did some of it that way when we got it going, and then other stuff we just used the same creative basically that we'd been using on Facebook because it was link post creative basically. So. The only thing is we had to, as you had to do there, some of the stuff we had was square and this stuff is cropped to sort of the 1200 by 628, the older one. So other than that, it was fine. Basically easy to go through.
This whole flow will guide you throughout each part. If you're missing anything, we'll notify you. So we'll make sure all those are all in there. Now I'm going in here, and what I want to touch on in this section is the use of dynamic fields.
Mm-hmm.
So I did mention at the very beginning of this call that Nextdoor has address verified members.
Mm-hmm.
So because that, we have kind of the information about where they live. So if you're doing a large scale national campaign to really increase that ad relevancy to members, you could leverage dynamic fields.
Yeah, I love this. We're using it. So go ahead and show this. This is a great part about it.
Yeah, let's go to the body text here. And this is where you could leverage. Now, you could do this in the headline or the body text. It's completely up to you. Now, it's as simple as adding these two curly brackets, importing city. You could also do this at the neighborhood level. So where I've included city, if you just typed in neighborhood, that will, instead of dynamically populating the city name, it will dynamically populate the neighborhood name.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend first testing the city name because the city name remains consistent, whereas the neighborhood name has been around for 10 years. So depending on the time when that Nextdoor neighborhood was created, the new developments, they change names, they kind of go through a rebrand themselves. So it could not resonate maybe to new members as it does for old members. So
sure.
One definitely is one I recommend testing first, but that neighborhood one is a great way to really increase that ad relevancy as well.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Easy to see, easy to customize, easy to write. I like that. I like the headline too. It's nice and bold. So it's like gives you a little opportunity. Two CTAs basically above the image, which is nice.
Yes, and one thing to note, and I'm going to throw in an offer here too. This is definitely something I recommend leveraging if you're doing any promotions for any of your campaigns. This is definitely something I would recommend. Now, one thing I want to note here is anywhere that you click as a member. So say I'm a member seeing this link and pause ad. If I were to click on the business name, the creative itself, or the call to action, I'll always be redirected to the business URL that you
hit. Nice.
So today, there is no redirecting to an internal Nextdoor business page. It'll all be redirecting to whatever you input into this business URL right here.
Yeah, it's a good amount of real estate you're taking over for a pretty low price relative to other platforms. And the whole thing clicks through. So it's nice.
In terms of if you want to leverage UTM parameters, you would hard code those in directly into the business URL section.
Yep.
Here.
Yep. Cool.
Now, one thing I want to note here is you're going to see these two tabs. So right now, what we just built was the newsfeed placement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you did say a 50-50 split from your overall daily budget, newsfeed and for sale and free, one thing that you're going to have to do is click on this for sale and free section and just make sure that the image looks okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're basically taking what you imported in the newsfeed placement and cropping it to meet the for sale and free spec. That being said, based on the creative, we may, cut off a portion. So just to prevent, your ads from being rejected and having to be resubmitted, just use these toggles right here. Make sure everything is to your liking. This price or discount field, if you have a certain order or percent off, you could do the same thing that you put in the offer text here, $5 off.
Okay,
so
cool.
Definitely something if you're running any promotions in this for sale and free section, we do see high engagement when there's a kind of a promotion or discount entered into this field.
Love it. Very, very cool. So then you continue and launch right from here, and then after, we can head into reporting after this, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So what you're going to see here, a quick review and submit. We're moving really quickly right now from a creative approval standpoint. During the week, we're looking about 4 to 6 hours. As of right now, like I said, we are still new. We don't yet have weekend support. So one thing just to note when you're putting in your campaigns, we are checking periodically over the weekend, but for the most part, Monday through Friday, we're getting those approved within a 4 to 6 hour window.
Yeah, that was one thing that was a little different because it wasn't automated, but I liked it because it was sort of like a quality assurance test from a real person. Anyway, that felt good. And we were okay with that. And as long as we were prepared for it once we knew about it. So yeah, that was fine to know. And launching stuff on the weekends is never a good idea anyway, really. So doing it during the week is better.
We don't need to stress ourselves out launching new campaigns over the weekend. We got enough, right? Those are supposed to be to relax.
Exactly.
Awesome. So yeah, once you hit that submit button here, this is where we'll prompt for payment. Right now, you'll just see credit card payment directly in the UI. Now, once that is submitted, once we've started seeing delivery, this is what your dashboard will look like.
Okay.
So here is where you'll see all your data at the campaign, ad groups, and ads level.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I want to note in the ad groups section. So say you start running your campaign, you're seeing amazing delivery in the for sale and free section. Maybe it's outperforming for some reason. Maybe it just fits really well in that placement. It's something that's really resonating and fitting naturally in there as well. Maybe you want to pause your newsfeed placement. This is where you could do that. So you could pause placements at any time using this live status column, and then kind of go into this, the live ad group, reallocate more budget in there. All of this can be done at any time throughout the life of your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that just however you built it during the initial campaign creation, you can always go in and edit that.
Cool.
The only things you cannot edit once you click submit is the bid type. So if you wanted to test, say you started in a cost per click model, but now you wanted to maybe test a week with a cost per impression model, you would just have to go back and create a new ad group. Not necessarily starting from the beginning, just creating a new ad group. So it'd be as simple as just making sure the campaign is checked, toggling to the ad group section, and clicking create new ad group.
Cool. Love it. Love it. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So within the reporting, you can customize different columns and things like that. Kind of pull out whatever you want. We're looking at a lot of the default reporting, but any other things to mention about the reporting side in terms of customizing columns and things like that and reporting?
Yeah. So all we'll be layering on as we add more formats. We'll always be adding on the corresponding data points. A video will have completion rate. But for right now, this is the data points that'll live within the dashboard. We are totaling all this for you once your campaigns are live. We will, like I said, be layering on additional reporting throughout the year. Right now, if you wanted to turn off one of the columns, you could do so. But for the most part, what you're seeing in the UI right now is the reporting that you're getting from the Neighborhood Ad Center.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, really good. Well, any other things to mention for the good of the order? I mean, this is a great little walkthrough for people, and I feel like it's really helpful and great for them to see, to get them excited in terms of testing it on their own.
What I would end with is, just because it's self-serve does not mean that you're not without support. You have myself, my team from a sales and onboarding standpoint. We have account strategy teams to help you from an optimization standpoint. So we're super excited. We're getting a lot of great feedback in the market. So yeah, excited to have some new folks join us in this product.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.